Hey folks, in today's video I'm going to be building out a Ford Super Duty F-250. Ever since I started doing videos on my truck here, you're looking at my 2024 GMC Sierra 2500 HD. This is an SLE. And I bought it back in October of last year, and I've done quite a few videos on it. I'll put a card up above for the initial build video, but of course check out my other videos for some of the more recent ones. But ever since I've been doing these videos, I've had a lot of questions about, why did you settle on the GMC? Did you consider the Ford? And so I'm going to talk about that in a future video and answer the question specifically, why did I land on the GMC as opposed to the Ford? Because I really, went back and forth on it. But in today's video, I'm going to show you what would that Ford truck look like had I gone the route of the Super Duty. And so I'm going to build it out, option by option, and show you what that truck would look like. And I think this is going to be really interesting because the last time that I built out one of these trucks was several months back. The last time I did this, the price tracked very closely with my GMC and the SLE trim level. And so we'll see if anything's changed. But I'm going to be building out a 2024 because that is the current model year. And by the way, guys, huge favor to ask, if you are a current Super Duty owner or you happen to know just a lot about the Super Duty trucks, definitely add your comments below throughout this build video. I think that'd be very helpful. For me, the last few trucks I've owned have all been in the Ram space, and so that was my expertise, and I'm just getting into the GM trucks with my GMC Sierra. And so I by no means claim to be an expert here on these Super Duty trucks. I'm just showing you today what I would end up building had I gone the route of the Super Duty lineup here. And so this is something that I did several months back when I ended up picking my GMC. I went back and forth here with the four trucks and built them out different ways. I'll show you where I landed on the Ford on the Super Duty here. So as far as colors go, Ford's got a lot of nice colors, and I kind of like the carbonized gray metallic. I think that's a nice color. I always like their red as well. But just for this video, I am going to pick that carbonized gray metallic. Definitely let me know what your favorite colors are below. Of course, for the engine, I am a gas truck guy now officially, and so definitely would pick the 7.3. In fact, with the XLT, you have to pick that. You can't go to the 6.8. It's my understanding that is only available on XL trim levels. So 7.3 is just a really solid gas engine, and honestly, it's probably faster. It probably feels faster and drives faster, whether you're unladen or towing, compared to the 6.6 in my GM. The drive, of course, definitely got to get that 4x4. Then, of course, it comes with that 10-speed automatic. As far as the rear axle ratio, at the GM, they only give you one option. Whereas with Ford, you can choose some different ratios here. And for me personally, I think I would just stick with the 3.73. I would just change it here to the electronic locking axle ratio. I think the 3.73, it gives a nice balance between efficiency and towing as compared to stepping up to the 4.3. I mean, if you're really going to be towing heavy, I think that's an option to consider there. But for me personally, I think the 3.73 is a nice balance there. Then as far as packages here, okay, so definitely would opt for the 360-degree camera package here. I think with a big truck, it's really helpful, especially seeing in front of you as you're navigating. And then I would definitely do the FX4 off-road package, very similar to GM's X31. It's going to be changing out some tires as well here. And of course, Ford has the Tremor off-road package as well. Really nice package. I built several of these out with the Tremor off-road package, and actually came really close to looking at an F-350 that was secondhand that had the Tremor off-road package. And I mean, it's just a gorgeous truck with that package, the stance and everything. And for the $4,000, it's not a bad package, but for me, in my case, my needs, I really wouldn't need that, and so I would just opt for the FX4 there. Then as far as appearance packages go, this Sport appearance package is the one that I routinely came back to with the XLT, and the reason is, if I recall, the XLT is going to have standard kind of halogen lights up front, real basic. But when you step up here to the Sport Appearance package, if I recall, it adds the nicer LED reflector lamps. It says here included on the XLT, along with the LED fog lamps. And for me, that was just a must-have, to have a nicer appearance up front there. And so I think the Sport Appearance package is one of the more affordable ways to get into that. If I recall, the Black Appearance package had some nicer wheels up front, had a little more of a gloss on all the black, and some other things you can see right here. But I think the Sport Appearance package is a more economical way to get in there. And then as far as payload goes, on the F-250, on the Super Duty, it's my understanding that this over 10K GVWR package is more or less standard on an XLT. And the ones that I've seen built out are right around 3,500 pounds payload. And so that's going to be a little bit higher than on my SLE, on my Sierra. Its payload is right around 3,300 pounds. And so most of the Super Duty trucks that I've seen, the 250s, at least seem to have about 100 to 200 pounds more payload compared to a comparably equipped GM truck. But you know, we're talking 3,300 versus 35, pretty much the same there. Then I would definitely do the fifth wheel gooseneck hitch prep package, so that you have access to the puck system in the back. And then the premium package, I believe that got checked when I did the 360-degree camera package. And so that has a host of different options here. One thing I'll point out that Ford does in this XLT trim level is you get a little bit nicer sound system compared to in the GMC and the SLE trim level. You know, they don't offer a subwoofer option. And so that's kind of a nice feature that they have here on the XLT. All right, as far as wheels goes, that's going to come with that Sport Appearance package. So we're going to leave that as is, and just the regular all-terrain tires. Then the mirrors, we'll leave these as power folding. I think that again came with the XLT Premium, if I'm not mistaken. And then the platform running boards also get bundled in with that Sport package there. Then as far as exterior options, let's see, the tailgate step, I am not a big fan of that. The one that folds out of the back of the tailgate, that's just something that I don't think I would ever use, and it's just extra weight. So I would skip that one there. Then as far as the bed liner, I'd go ahead and do, whoops, not the drop-in bed liner. I meant to do the tough bed, the factory spray-on bed liner there. And then I would do this individual trailer TPMS so that you can add TPMS to your RV trailer tires and see that on the cluster. So I would definitely add that. And then we've got power sliding glass. Okay, so in my opinion, that's a must-have. So we'll change that out so that we get power sliding glass in the rear. And then just like GM, the wheel well liners are options in the XLT trim level. Same was on my SLE, so I had to select that. I think that's a nice appearance upgrade to be able to see the wheel liners inside your wheel wells. So go ahead and check that so it's done there. And then I would skip these retractable corner bed steps. I mean, it already has the built-in steps just like the GM. So I would skip that. Don't need a gooseneck hitch. Skip the moonroof. What else here? Engine block heater. You know, I live in a southern climate where the winter it gets cold sometimes, but my truck's in the garage, so I would skip that. But for $190, if you're in a colder climate, not a bad deal there. And then, of course, all these are, I believe a lot of these are included with the FX4 and the Sport and the XLT Premium. So just like the GM, it's got the forward collision warning. And then the skid plates with the FX4, reverse sensing system. That's great to have. All right, what else here? It already has the fog lamps included there, I believe. If I check this, I think it's just going to undo some stuff. Yeah. So it already has the fog lamps there and the LED box lighting. All right, so inside, you can get a choice between the gray and the beige. The Baja is just a little bit light. In fact, my 2005, I had just a regular F-150 XLT back then, and it was very similar to this color, and it was nice, but it did show, I think, a little bit more of the dirt quicker than this darker gray color here. Then as far as the seating goes, you know, I'm probably in the minority, but I'm just a big bench seat fan, and so I would keep it actually with this bench seat as opposed to going to the bucket seats. I really like having the extra space here in the truck between the seats and the dash, you know, all the way down to the floor. And then I like the fact that if you ever do need 6-passenger seating, you can, you know, flip up that center jump seat. It's not something where someone, especially an adult, would want to sit for a long trip, but it is there. And Ford actually has a headrest on theirs there. That's kind of unique, but yeah, I would definitely keep the bench seat there as well. All right, some interior options. The all-weather mats, I got those on my GM. Usually I just buy them from you know, WeatherTech, but we'll just go ahead and put the OEM floor mats there. And then this is kind of an interesting option here that is exclusive to Ford, this onboard scales and smart hitch. So I like trying out new gadgets and new features. I would opt for this really just because I'm curious how accurate it is, and I'm, you know, I like to know if I've got something hitched up on the back of the truck or something I'm hauling. It's just kind of interesting to know. And so to have this feature and tell me approximately, that being the key word, I imagine, you know, how much is in the bed of the truck would be pretty interesting. And for $650, it's not too bad. All right, then let's see. Pro Power, you know, those are really neat packages that they offer. For me personally, I wouldn't make use of that, but I think it's a really great buy for $985 to have 2 kilowatts. So, you know, if you are in a situation where you are frequently pulling out a gas generator, you know, when you're camping or working on the job site, this could be a really neat alternative. And for the price, I think it's really a bargain. Then this next one is again exclusive to the Super Duty, this interior work surface. And my understanding is that this kind of folds down and it makes a flatter surface for a laptop and that sort of thing. And I actually think that would be kind of useful. I'm going to go ahead and add it. This is something that I would probably like to see in person before finalizing it, but I think it's a really neat option there to be able to use a laptop. It looks like when you choose that, it kind of shifts the cup holders back here. So that would be one consideration, because then you kind of have to reach back further to get your cup holders. I believe this portion here slides, and y'all correct me in the comments, especially if you have this feature, and let us know if you like it or if you would go without it there. Then upfitter switches. I think that's for $165 a no-brainer to get those switches up top. It's going to force a different alternator there, which is fine. And then, like I said before, it does have an upgraded B&O sound system, 8 speakers with subwoofers. That's kind of nice to have on the XLT trim level there. And so here is my final price right here. Just went through all the options. Let me make sure I didn't miss anything here. Yeah, it looks like I got everything. And in the price here, notice it's $68,605. And if you didn't catch my build video on my current truck, the one that I bought, the GMC Sierra 2500, it had a price right just about $1,000 less, basically. It was in the high 67s. And so, you know, if you take out the onboard scale option, because that was, I think, $605, the work surface, I mean, basically dollar for dollar, this truck would be the same price just about as my GMC SLE. And I think that's really interesting, just how competitive the price is between Ford and GM, that they're literally within just a couple $100 apart when you equip them, you know, pretty much option for option and feature for feature. And, you know, that is a really sharp looking truck. I mean, I tell you what, I went back and forth before I bought the GM between the Super Duty here and my Sierra. I mean, this is just a really sharp looking truck. I think the wheels being blacked out like this on the XLT look a little bit sharper compared to just my regular wheels on the Sierra. And I like the grille being blacked out, that sport appearance. It just looks really, really sharp on the Super Duty trucks. And then on the inside too, I mean, it's just a really nice truck. You know, if I'm being completely honest, I do like the interior just a little bit better on the GM product, especially when they redesigned everything for 2024. I think the dash, in my opinion, might be a little bit biased, but I think the dash looks better up front in the GM. Definitely let me know what you guys think in the comments below. But, you know, I think the Super Duty is just a really sharp looking truck inside. And sure, there are some things that I like better about the interior of my GMC Sierra. But there's also some things here in the Super Duty that I like better. I think, you know, with the jump seat here, this headrest, I believe it's removable. And I think definitely if someone is going to be sitting in the middle there, having a headrest would be kind of nice there. I also like how in the Super Duty, under the rear seat back here, it's all kind of open there. And then I think it's nice with the Super Duty that you've got the option to have that B&O sound system in the XLT and get a, you know, slightly nicer sound system. I think that's a nice bonus, whereas in my SLE, it's just not an option. You have to step up one trim level to get the Bose sound system there. And, you know, option for option, the way that this XLT Super Duty is configured, it is almost identical to the features that I've got in my SLE and the Sierra. I see I do get a 12-volt power port here in the Super Duty. That's something that you don't get in the Sierra at all. They got rid of that completely, but you can add it back in with some OEM parts there if you want. Another thing that I don't care for as much on the F-250, just seeing it right here, is in the XLT, the steering wheel, it's going to be a molded steering wheel. And that's something that, you know, you can replace. Yeah, I've seen guys that have bought the wheel from the Lariat and swapped it out. But I mean, that's a pretty, I would think, a pretty labor-intensive process. And of course, there's the airbag in there. So I wish that Ford would offer a leather-wrapped steering wheel in the XLT trim level. You know, that was something that I really appreciated that GM did in the SLE. But this is a sharp-looking truck, guys. I mean, I really think, you know, you could argue that it looks a little more utilitarian compared to the interior of my Sierra. And so I do prefer the interior, but it's not a bad-looking truck inside. Everything's laid out in a very logical position. I like the size of this screen right here, and I like that it's landscape. You know, everything just makes sense, the layout where they put all the buttons there, and it's very functional. Well, let me close out the video by saying, you know, sharp as this F-250 is, this Super Duty truck, I really do think it looks sharp, by the way, with that sport appearance package. I still do prefer the look of my Sierra. And again, I realize that's incredibly subjective. You know, I went back and forth on it, but I think especially after owning the truck, I really do like the way the Sierra looks, but it's a close call. It's a really sharp looking truck. I'm going to go back to the build sheet here, and like I said earlier in the video, especially those who are Super Duty truck owners where you've gone through this process and you've ordered your truck already, comment below and let me know, are there any other options that you would recommend, or maybe that you regret not ordering on yours, or options that you picked that you wished you hadn't, maybe like the onboard scales and smart hitch option there. Definitely comment below and let us know what options should be added or taken out of this build. But I do think it's really interesting that the final price is pretty much about the same as my GMC Sierra. Now, I just realized that the fifth wheel gooseneck hitch prep package somehow got unchecked. I thought I clicked it there. So that is something that I definitely want to make sure is added in, and that does bump the price up just a little bit there, $69,115. And so I guess you could argue that maybe the Ford is slightly more expensive than the Sierra, but they're still pretty close there. So final price, $69,155. And I know that may seem high, especially if you're looking at trucks from, 3, 4, 5 years ago, gas trucks especially. But in today's economy, 69, staying under 70 is not too bad for a heavy duty truck. And I do think that the way this one's equipped, that, I would be getting a lot of truck for the money there. So anyways, guys, make sure you're subscribed. I will be doing in a future video answering the question, why did I specifically land on the GM Sierra as opposed to the Super Duty? Because, I mean, those were the two trucks really that I was going back and forth between. And so I'll share those specific reasons in a future video. In the meantime, definitely comment below. And as always, thanks for watching.